even though today's lesson is about question 4, even though today's question is about this lesson about question 4, can we just very quickly look at a story for question 5? Can we just very quickly look at a story? I'm just going to read it. I'm not going to really go into it too much depth. I just want you to understand what's required. Okay? So this is the creative writing, right? This is the creative writing. So there's creative writing and there's descriptive writing, or narrative writing, as you may call it. Let's have a very quick look at what this student wrote to get a grade 9. It won't take long, probably like, I don't know, 7 or 8 minutes. I really want to deep dive into question 4 today. Does use of structural techniques come under content? Or come under content organization? It comes under AO2? I can't remember. Don't worry about what it comes under, but you got to include it though. Definitely got to include it. Right, so this question, by the way, can I just show you what the question was? Ishal, you've joined us at the right time. No worries at all. No worries at all. Okay, so I basically picked this random question. It was a question 5. And I just wanted to make a point to students about preparing. Ishal, have you ever heard a teacher or someone say, prepare your question 5 in advance? So guys, have a look here, yeah? The question was, write the opening of a story with the title abandoned. Let me ask you a question. Do you think a pre-prepared answer could have been used for this and this? I'm talking about the bottom one, by the way. So a new beginning. Do you think you could have used the same answer, the same 40 marker for either? Think about it, have a read. By the way, if you don't know, don't worry. If you don't know, don't worry. But I'm asking the question, do you think you could have used the same story for write a story about a new beginning and the same story for write an opening to a story about with the title abandoned? I mean, you could abandon a bad habit. You could abandon a friend. You could abandon, I don't know. You could have been abandoned. Yeah, exactly, Josh. There you go. Do you see? And that could be the beginning of something new. Do you see the point? Anyways, let's look at this first paragraph. I'm not going to take too much time on this. This is the story, okay? This is the story. What did I tell you? What do you get marked on? What did I say you get marked on? Your what? What did I say you get marked on? Is it the storyline? Is it the crazy sort of creative storyline? It isn't. You're getting marked. You're getting marked on your description. Okay. The house had been the epitome of life and joy, and yet it was now dead. It was merely a shadow of its former glory, for the house was no longer alive and would never be again. Sunlight no longer danced through the windows, and the sounds of laughter were no longer heard. All that was left was were the remains of a long since dead house. Cobwebs littered the wooden slats and broken walls. Dusty light fittings stared down miserably at a table that would never be able be again be laden with food and fun, with chairs that not had not been warm for years. As I stood in the hallway, the silence crept through the empty rooms towards me, mocking me with its quiet. Reluctantly, I dumped my bag on the floor, a dust cloud puffing around it, and crept into the kitchen. It did not seem right to stomp or run, or move in any way to further disturb the walls. Sighing, I gently ran my finger across the dry sink, slowly taking in these oh so familiar surroundings. Guys, tell me, is this just not a description? Is this just not language techniques? Let me know. Let me know your genuine thoughts. Yes, the character is moving through this abandoned house, or whatever, but is it just not description? Think about it. Guys, let me know if you're there. No one said a single thing. Let me know if you're there, guys. So basically, I read this paragraph and I asked you, Is Do you think it's anything more than just a lot of description? Have a read. Have a read. It's just a description, guys. This guy's maxed out. Yeah, his dictionary, exactly. He's got some really good terminology. He's got some really good definitions. And that's about it. I mean, it's not the whole thing, by the way. There's a few more paragraphs, but this is what's getting him the marks. Okay. So, for homework, can everyone please do this? Can they write an epic 40 marker that they can connect to any prompt? Let me know if you're on board to do that. It's okay if you're not. Maybe you're unfamiliar with that suggestion. Awesome, thank you, Zachariah. I mean, I'll pull another one out. Yeah. Awesome, guys. Remember, 40 marks. 40 marks. You know what that means? That's like half your exam. If you get 40, remember 60 is like a grade 9 or something. 65 is like a grade 9. So think about it. Okay. By the way, when is your English mock? Oh my days, guys! Look at this one. Look at this one. Josh, you know what you said, yeah? Oh, you done it. Okay, you done lit already. Okay, okay. What was lit on, by the way? Okay. Inspector and poetry. Okay. What poem came up? Sorry, I was really intrigued. Merchant Venice. Sorry, dude. Inspector. Yeah, we need to do a recap. Checking out my history. Oh, really? Oh man, the one poem we didn't do. Yikes. What did you compare it to? Okay, that's a good choice. Did you talk about poet's motivation? Background information. Okay, good. Good. Okay. Did you talk about form and structure and language as well? So like one of each. Okay, that's fine. All right. Okay, guys. Ooh, okay. By the way, there's no worries. You got structure and you got language. That's good. Right, guys. Okay, I'm gonna show you a question. Josh, do you remember what that example you gave in the chat about the picnic and how you would have changed it towards for the what's it called, for the new beginning or whatever? Look at this one, guys. Remember that mundane example I was telling you about? Have a look. Look at the second one. Forget the picture. Like I said, always forget the picture. Look at the second one. Write a story about an event that cannot be explained. Tell me, does that not relate to all the other examples? I just picked another one at random. So have I convinced you that the 40 mark prepared is probably a good idea? I hope I have. I'm sorry. I feel like I'm banging on about it. So Isha, let me know if you're on the same page. Arian, let me know if you're on the same page. I really want, and Reese as well, I really want you to have a 40 marker done. I'll set the task. I know, right? So I'm going to set the task for this week's homework. Please get started on it. Even if you only get half. How are you supposed to explain something unexplainable? Write a story about an event, but you're not that kind of. Remember, you're not supposed to explain it. Reworded the text. Well done. Exactly, Zachariah. Well done. That's the point I'm trying to make to the chat. So write a story about an event that cannot be explained. Basically, let's say for example, you were expecting to you were supposed to meet up with a friend, right? So you're supposed to meet up a friend on a Saturday morning, to go let's say to a theme park, but that friend never showed up. And the whole story is about, I don't know, you waiting or you thinking what's going on. So let's say your example was about cars. Yeah, let's say your example was about cars. Imagine you woke up one morning and your car didn't start. Do you see? Or you woke up one morning and your car started, but you heard a weird noise. Like, it can't be explained in that moment. Do you see where I'm going with this? Try and tweak it to whatever the situation is. Or maybe your story is about a car and you now have to drive your car to a place to deal with something that was unexpected. Like, for example, that cannot be explained. So, for example, I don't know, your friend was kidnapped. Do you get it? So your story can be completely the same. Yeah, the whole thing is about the drive to the crime scene. When you're describing the journey, you're describing the rumbles of the engine, everything that you had pre-planned. Guys, I hope I've convinced you. Regardless, let's jump into today's lesson. Okay, so what I want us to do, I want us to look at this piece of text. I'm going to put it on the board. 1 second, guys. What? 1 second. Computer's being a bit weird. Okay. That's the one. Have I just lost all my notes? Okay, here we go. Right, guys, can I give you a few minutes of reading time? Just like maybe 3 or 4 minutes, just to understand the text. Actually, you know what? Let's speed run this. I'm gonna read it. Can you just let me know what it's about at the end? Is everyone ready? Everyone ready? Realistically, I will not be able to get through the whole of this. It'll be a two-part. It's not creative writing. It's the insert that came with this exam paper. We're looking at question 4. Is everyone ready? Okay, so it was the hyena that worried me. I had not forgotten father's words. Hyenas attack in packs. Whatever animal can be run down. They go for zebras, a noose, and water buffaloes. And not only the old or the infirm in a herd, but full-grown members too. They are hardy attackers, rising up from the buttings and kickings, immediately never giving up, for simple lack of will. And they are clever. Anything that can be distracted from its mother is good. I could hear the hyena whining. I clung to the hope that a zebra, a familiar prey, and an orangutan, an unfamiliar one, would distract it from thoughts of me. I kept one eye on the horizon and one eye on the other end of the lifeboat. I am not one to hold a prejudice against any animal, but it is a plain fact that the spotted hyena is not well served by its appearance. It is ugly beyond redemption. Its shaggy, coarse coat, its bungled mix of colours, with the spots having none of the classy ostentation of a leopard's. They look rather like the symptoms of a skin disease. The head is broad and too massive, with the high forehead like that of a bear, but suffering from a receding hairline, with ears that look ridiculously mouse-like, but large and round when they have been torn off in battle. The mouth is forever open and panting. The nostrils are too big. The tail is scraggly and unwagging. All the parts put together look dog-like, but like no dog anyone would want as a pet. So up until this point, what have we essentially read? What have we essentially read from this point? What is this first sort of 3 paragraphs about? Let me know in the chat. I want everyone to put something in. So what is these first 3 paragraphs about? Guys, I wanted something from everyone, yeah? So the first 3 paragraphs, what is it about? Thank you, George. Thank you, Reese. Exactly, well done. Seems like it's hunting, but they do tell us something a bit more. So the first 3 paragraphs, would you agree thank you, Ishal, is about the horrendous look of a hyena. How scary and intimidating and ugly they look. That's the first thing. The second thing, did you notice that the narrator is stuck on a boat with a hyena? It says, I could hear the hyena whining. I clung onto the hope that a zebra, a familiar prey, and an orangutan, an unfamiliar one, would distract it from the thoughts of me. So there's some animals on the boat. I kept one eye on the horizon and one eye on the end of the lifeboat. So did you guys notice that? So the narrator is stuck on a boat with what seems like a zebra and orangutan and a hyena. But he's worried about the hyena. And he says the hyena is ugly. Are you guys ready to read the rest? Are you guys ready to continue with the rest? So, Krish, I know you just joined us. The first part of the lesson we spoke about the importance of question 5, which will be in the recording, so you can have a watch over from that in the recording. We're looking at question 4 right now. We're reading the text. Okay, we're at line 20. Okay, let's go. I was hoping the hyena would stay under the tarpaulin. I was disappointed. Nearly immediately, it leapt over the zebra and onto the stern bench. Okay. There it turned on itself a few times, whimpering and hesitating. I wondered what it was going to do next. The answer came quickly. It brought its head low and ran around the zebra in a circle, transforming the stern bench. The side benches and the cross bench just beyond the tarpaulin into a 25-foot indoor track. It did 1 lap, 2, 3, 4, 5 and onwards, non-stop, till I lost count. And the whole time, lap after lap, it went yip, 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 yip in a high-pitched way. So let me know in the chat if you understand what's going on. Let me know. So it seems as though the narrator and the hyena have sort of caught each other's attention. So now obviously he's worried, and the zebra is doing some intimidating stuff like saying yip 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 and going around in circles. Okay, my reaction once again was very slow. Wait, is he actually... Oh, no. So it's not doing... okay. So he's noticed that it started doing laps. It's doing laps around the zebra, it seems like. Yeah, around the zebra. Okay. My reaction once again was very slow. I was seized by fear and could only watch. The beast was going at a good clip, and it was no small animal. The beating of its legs against the benches made the whole boat shake, and its claws were loudly clicking on their surface. Each time it came from the stern, I tensed. It was hair-raising. Enough to see the thing racing my way. Worse still was the fear that it would keep going straight. After a number of laps, it stopped short at the stern bench and crouched, directing its gaze downwards to the space below the tarpaulin. It lifted its eyes and rested them upon me. The look was nearly the typical look of a hyena, blank and frank jaw hanging open. Big ears sticking up rigidly, eyes bright and black. I prepared for my end. For nothing. It started running in circles again. Guys, what sentence is I prepared for my end? What sort of sentence is I prepared for my end? It begins with a D. It's a short sentence. It's simple. It's not. It is dramatic, but I'm not talking about that. Yes, Zia, that's the one. It's a declarative sentence. I prepared for my end. He now knows. That's it. This is my end. I've acknowledged it. Okay? It started running in circles again. When an animal decides to do something, it can do it for a very long time. All morning the hyena ran in circles, going yip, 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 yip. Every time the hyena paused at the stern bench, my heart jumped. And as much as I wanted to direct my attention to the horizon, to where my salvation lay, it kept straying back to this maniacal beast. Okay. So up until this point, pretty scary. Would you agree? No? Bro, you're on a boat you're on a small boat with a hyena. Nowadays. Either you don't know what... Actually, no, you can't even say you don't know what a hyena is. It's just here. And as much as I want to direct my attention to the horizon, to where my what does salvation mean? What does salvation mean? Has some religious sort of... But we're not talking about that, though. Yeah, it means that rescue, where he'll be safe. To whom my salvation lay. Safety, exactly. It kept straying back to this maniacal beast. Things ended in a typical hyena fashion. It stopped at the stern and started producing deep groans, interrupted by fits of heavy panting. I pushed myself away on the oar till only the tips of my feet were holding onto the boat. The animal hacked and coughed. Abruptly, it vomited. A gush landed behind the zebra. The hyena dropped into what it had just produced. Basically, it vomited and it fell into its vomit. It stayed there, shaking and whining and turning around on itself, exploring the furthest confines of animal anguish. It did not move from the restricted space for the rest of the day. Okay, so right at the end, what happened to the hyena? Everyone, what happened to the hyena right at the end? Possibly, Ishal. Possibly. Definitely, Krish. You think the hyena got scared? No, I don't think it got scared. I think it got unwell. Go on, Krish. Did it get unwell? I think it just got unwell, right? What do you think? Go on, Krish. How did it go? Details, details. Yeah, maybe malnourished, maybe sick, maybe unwell. Basically, was it a threat? Was it a threat anymore? Do you think there were, he was still as scared as he was before when it was like, yip, yip? No, yeah, clearly is just not as scary, right? Okay, we're going to look at a question. We're going to look at the question for this text. Let me pull it up. So it's here somewhere. Let me find it. Here it is. So we're looking at question 4. Question 4 says, focus this part of your answer on the second part of the source from line 20 to the end. Oh, you can't see it yet, can you? Well done, Krish. Well done. Did poet's motivation make it to that answer? And form and structure. Let me know. Ooh, okay. Right. So the question says, a student said this part of the story where the hyena behaves wildly is funny rather than frightening. The writer suggests that the hyena is actually no serious threat to Pi. To what extent do you agree? Consider your impressions of how the hyena behaves. Evaluate how the writer presents the threat of the hyena to Pi. Support your response with the references from the text. Okay, so I know, right? So let me ask you guys a question. First things first, should we get rid of what we don't need? So it says from 20 onwards. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut this out. We don't need this. That's the first thing. Let me put the question on top of it. Okay. I know. So guys, what do you think? What's your initial thoughts? What are your initial thoughts? We've read the text together. It says this part of the story where the hyena behaves wildly is funny rather than frightening. So do you think it's funny? Do you think it's frightening? Do you agree with this? Do you think it's on the funny side? Do you think he was actually no real threat? What are your thoughts? So basically in the chat, do you agree? Do you disagree? Partially agree, partially disagree. What are your thoughts? Okay. So you think that the animal was no real threat. Fair enough. Let's see what the chat is saying. So the question is basically saying, there's a student. He says that this part of the story, the hyena behaves wildly. They think it's funny rather than frightening. Do you think the hyena was no threat to Pi? So the writer suggests that hyena was no serious threat to Pi. Do you agree or do you disagree? Yeah, I think so too. I think I agree. Okay. Yeah, okay. I think I mostly disagree, and a part of me agrees. So maybe I think I'm half and half. I think I'm half and half. I don't think I completely disagree. I don't think I completely agree though, because he definitely says he was scared. So should we have a look at some quotes? Should we pick up some quotes? So the first sentence says, "Consider your impressions on how the hyena behaves." So I want everyone to find one quote which is about how the hyena behaves, and then secondly, I want you to find one quote on how threatened you think Pi was. Okay, so how much of a threat do you think that animal was to Pi? Okay, evaluate how the writer presents a threat a threat to threat of the hyena to Pi. So how much of a threat do you think the animal was? So can everyone find one quote for each one? I'm going to give everyone a few minutes to do this. I think 3 minutes is enough time. Let's go. So one quote for each bullet point. I want one from every single person because I'm trying to check if you know how to find quotes. Okay, let's go. No, that was a zebra. Sorry, no, that was the hyena making that noise. Guys, remember one quote for each. Yeah? So one about the impression. Sorry, one of the way that the hyena behaves, and the second one, how scared basically was Pi. Okay, so I didn't get quotes from everyone. So if you're still putting quotes in, drop it in. I've seen some great quotes, guys. So it says, "I hope the hyena would stay on that tarpaulin. I was disappointed." Hold on. There it turned on itself a few times. Okay. So I wonder what it was going to do next. An answer came quickly. It brought its head low, transforming the stern bench, the side benches, and the cross bench just beyond the tarpaulin into 25-foot indoor track. It did It did lap 2, 3, 4, 5 onwards non-stop till I lost count. And the whole time, lap after lap, it went yip 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 in a high pitched way. So it's trying to be intimidating. My reaction once again was very slow. I was seized by fear. I was seized by fear. I mean, that's pretty clear, isn't it? The beast was going at a good clip, and it was no small animal. The beating of its legs against the benches made the whole boat shake. So it was definitely a powerful animal. And its claws were loudly clicking on the surface. So he noticed its claws. So these are all about point number 1, okay, how the animal behaves. Except for the first one. This is point number 2. And these are all 1. Okay. Each time it came close, each time it came back from the stern, I tensed. So that would be number 2. It was hair raising. I mean, what does this mean? He was scared, clearly, right? It was hair raising. Worse, it was hair raising enough to see the whole thing racing my way. Worse still was the fear that it would keep going straight. After a number of laps, it stopped short at the stern and crouched, directing its gaze downwards to the space below the tarpaulin. It lifted its eyes, resting them upon me. Their look was nearly the typical look of a hyena, blank and frank, jaw hanging open. Jaw hanging open is a scary look, right? Because you know you can see all the teeth. You're going to get munched. Big ears sticking up rigidly, eyes bright and black. I prepared for my end. What does he say, guys? I prepared for my end. This is very important. He actually felt that he was going to be a victim. For nothing, it started running in circles again. When an animal decides to do something, it can do it for a very long time. All morning, the hyena ran in circles, going yip, 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 yip. So this is the part that might seem a little bit comical. Every time the hyena paused at the stern bench, my heart jumped. So he's clearly scared. And as much as I wanted to direct my attention to the horizon, to where my salvation lay, it kept straying back to this maniacal beast. Things ended in a typical hyena fashion. Now this is the interesting bit, because right now the threat level is 0, right? Because the animal gets sick. Things ended in typical hyena fashion. When someone says typical, what does that mean? When someone says typical, what does that mean? Any ideas? Thank you for that, Ishal. I saw that. Exactly. It means as usual, as something expected. So if I expect you to, I don't know, crash out, am I going to be calm during your crash out, or am I going to be scared during your crash out? I was already expecting it. I know how you behave, right? I'm going to be calm, right? Here says things ended in a typical fashion. What does that mean? It stopped at the stern and started producing deep groans interrupted by fits of heavy panting. I pushed myself away on the oar till only the tips of my feet were holding onto the boat. The animal hacked and coughed. Abruptly, it vomited. So it got sick. A gush landed behind the zebra. The hyena dropped into what it had just produced. It stayed there, shaking and whining. So the animal is clearly deteriorating. So is it a threat anymore? No. Good. It did not move and restricted space from the rest of the day. Right, okay. Now, was this animal's reaction expected? Was this animal's reaction expected? Is there something to suggest that Pi knew that he might have behaved like this? Yes. And the clue is right here. Things ended in a typical hyena fashion. You get it? So maybe there was a part of him that knew this animal isn't about it. Okay? Now, there was a big interesting statement here. There it turned on itself a few times, whimpering and hesitating. Guys, what is whimpering? What is whimpering? Yes, almost like a cry-like noise, yeah? If a dog is whimpering, you feel sorry for it, don't you? If a person is whimpering, you feel sorry for them. You know they're going through a hard time. So the animal was whimpering and hesitating. Hesitate means it doesn't like it's not going to take action. What do they call this in English? I mean, very quickly it became dangerous again. But in the beginning, it started whimpering and hesitating, and then he says, "I wondered what I was going to do next." Like he doesn't, even he's like, "What's going on?" Guys, it was whimpering and hesitating, then it became seriously intimidating, and then it got sick. Come on, you guys know this. It was whimpering and hesitating, then it became really intense and really scary, and then it vomited. Good, you could call it cyclical. Or could be a shift in focus. I'm going to call it not for foreboding is something like bad, isn't it? This is actually good for the guy. So I'll say this is foreshadowing. Are you guys following? Yeah. So there was some clue that the animal wasn't as bad as it was going to be. So do you see why this is quite a this is a bit of a disagree and an agree. This is a bit of a disagree and an agree. So it's a little bit of both. It's a little bit of both. Right, I'm gonna crunch this and make it a little bit smaller, and then we're gonna look at the question. I mean, we're gonna look at answering the question. Is that still legible for everyone? Is that still legible? Can everyone read it still? We're going to jump into a model answer. Hopefully we're on the same page, I think. Okay. We're going to look at a model answer, and we're going to use the model answer to write an answer for this one. Are you guys ready? We're going to look at a model answer, and then we're going to use the model answer to write an answer for this question. Are you guys ready? And the model answer will hopefully give us a good insight on how to tackle this. So right now, below, we're going to read the first two paragraphs of a grade 9, okay? Now, it's not an answer for this question, but it is an answer to... We'll look at the first paragraph. We'll look at the... Yeah, so it's the first paragraph to a grade 9 answer to a different question. Can everyone see it? I'll make it a bit bigger. Can everyone see it? Okay, let's go. So it says, I agree that Zoe's initial reaction of the avalanche, to the avalanche could be perceived as being slow, and I believe her initial awe-inspired feelings towards the mountain's beauty and tranquility may have clouded her judgment when the avalanche occurred. I think this emotional attachment to her beautiful surroundings may have momentarily stopped her from reacting quickly to Jake's warnings, resulting in her delayed response to the impending danger. The writer begins this part of the extract with the word but, which indicates a change of some kind. However, Zoe is still lost in her previous trance-like state, reveling in the exquisite beauty of the surrounding stillness. This makes the forthcoming danger seem more jarring by contrast. And additionally, the mention of silky banners unfurling the head of the slope resembles the heraldry of armies, juxtaposes the innate beauty of nature with this imminent threat. You didn't know that jarring is a real word? Oh my days. Right. Did you know that vibe is actually a real word, and aura as well? Did you know that 6-7 is a real number? I'm kidding. Right, okay, so let's get into our answer, yeah? Really important. Let's go. So we're going to use this model answer to write an epic answer. Are you guys ready? So I was like, I think with me, I was like half disagree, half agree, more so agree. So I'm gonna start writing my answer now. Now, guys, I want you to write an answer as well. I want you to write an answer as well. The inspector is nonchalant. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Right, are you guys ready? I'm gonna use that answer to sort of model my answer. If you're writing one, let me know. The answer should be yes, you are writing one. I mean, how can you get better at this if you don't? Whilst I mostly agree that the idea that the hyena is funny and no real threat to Pi, okay, so I've literally just copied the first sentence. They said, I agree that Zoe's initial reaction to the avalanche could be perceived as being slow, and I believe her initial awe-inspiring feelings towards the mountain's beauty and tranquility may have clouded her judgment. I said, whilst I mostly disagree with the idea that the hyena is funny and no real threat to Pi, there are elements of Pi's reaction that suggested that he somewhat predicted the hyena's ending, or the hyena's downfall. Okay, so I've written a sentence that pretty much summarizes how I feel. Now I'm going to start adding a bit more detail. So, initially, the hyena is purposely taunting Pi to the point he feels. And how does he feel? He feels seized by fear. So initially, the hyena is purposefully taunting Pi to the point that he feels seized by fear. Okay, so guys, let me know in the chat. Did I, in this thesis statement, give a clear sort of overview of how I feel? So I agree the hyena isn't funny. Okay, I agree that I disagree with the idea that the hyena is funny. I don't think he's funny. I don't think he's a real. I think he's a real threat. However, there are elements of Pi's reaction that suggested that he somewhat predicted the hyena's downfall. Initially, the hyena is purposely taunting Pi to the point that he feels seized by fear. It seems as though Pi knows how to respond until reaching salvation. Nonetheless, Pi is still fearful of the hyena's actions. I don't think my first sentence makes sense. No, you don't need to. That's why I just embedded a few sort of statements from the text. Now I'm going to get into my first paragraph. Let's see what it says. Okay, so I'm going to get straight into my first paragraph. So let me bring the second paragraph over. Actually, no, let me go into this. Okay, so we can see. So let's bring some quotes now. Okay. Was it the zebra that he was circling? Yeah, it was the hyena. Okay, so the narrator makes it clear that once the hyena had started circling the zebra, the hyena. What's the hyena doing? The hyena's legs against the benches. Okay, it seems as though the hyena was trying to intimidate Pi by making loud noises. What was it doing with its claws? Okay, so the narrator mentions the sounds of its claws, indicating his imminent danger. Mm. By the way, you know that second paragraph, that would be like almost like a counter argument. So even though I've not finished this paragraph, I just put dot dot dot. I might start my second paragraph with the writer's use of foreshadowing subtly plants the seed. Okay, guys, we're going to continue with this answer next lesson. But let me know in the chat if this makes any sense. Why is hyena capitalized? Oh, my bad. Was I doing that on purpose? I don't even know. There you go. Okay, so I'm going to have a quick look at the answer. My days. Its name is hyena. Rose cooking with the paragraph. I forgot to look at the time. Oh yeah, sorry. Sorry. Guys, can I just have a quick read of the answer, and I'll tell you what we're going to continue with the next lesson. So it says, whilst I mostly disagree with the hyena, whilst I mostly disagree with the idea that the hyena is funny and no real threat to Pi, there are elements of Pi's reaction that suggested he somewhat predicted the hyena's downfall. Initially, the hyena is purposely taunting Pi to the point where he feels seized by fear. It seems as though Pi knows how to respond until reaching salvation. Nonetheless, Pi is still fearful of the hyena's actions. The narrator makes it clear that once the hyena had started circling the zebra, he started to have slow reactions, and was motionless out of fear. It seems as though the hyena was trying to intimidate Pi by making loud noises beating its legs against the boat. The narrator mentions the sounds of its claws indicating his imminent danger. The writer's use of by the way, that paragraph is not finished. The writer's use of foreshadowing subtly plants the seed of the animal's potential decline, mentioning that the hyena was whimpering and hesitating, suggesting that the animal wasn't as threatening as later described. The writer's attention immediately focused on the fearsome nature of the hyena, where the narrator noticed its jaw hanging open, indicating, I've used the word indicating too much. I need to change that. And it was ready to attack. However, this drastically changes when. And this is when I'm going to talk about the foreshadowing and the sort of later when the animal starts to become less scary. Guys, I have talked way too much. And let me know in the chat if this helped you with your understanding of question 4. Guys, you need to put... if you sent an answer, if you have an answer, please send it so I can have a look. So if you have an answer, please send it in so I can have a look. Let me know in the chat if you understand a little bit more how to approach this answer. We looked at the first part of the model answer. We still have more to look at. So we've only looked at the first paragraph. Hopefully before the 5th, when your exam is, we would have done question 4. And we've already sort of gone through 1 and 2 and 3 many a time. So we really only have question 4 ready for the mock. And tomorrow we shall continue with Macbeth. Just very quickly in the chat, is everyone's literature on Macbeth and A Christmas Carol or Jack and Hyde? Yo, Krish, I'm glad to hear that. Oh man, George, seriously, dude, we need to get you writing in WordPad or something, or like Word, because this happened not just with you, but like every student has gone through this. It happens a lot. Okay, Krish, okay. You know what? Always go with what you know. It's easier. Okay, so you got Macbeth, Jekyll and Hyde, but we've been told. Okay, so probably both. I'm assuming it's both. If it's paper 1, it's probably both. Let me know, guys. Before you leave, just let me know. I'll see you guys soon. I only knew Remains, which I couldn't. Yeah, True Owners Remains not the best with checking out my history. Thank you, Ariane. Guys, if you have an answer, send it through. See you soon. You could have done Poppies. I think that might have gone with it. Like loss, isn't it? Loss of his home, loss of his identity, almost. Yeah, but you did a good one. You did a good one. Yeah, because that's about belonging and home and stuff. And oh yeah, tough one though. I wouldn't say it's the best. It's the best option, but if you knew about the poem, you can definitely connect it. Reese saying if you have anything you need to add in the chat, send it through. Otherwise, I got a jet, guys. I'm running a little late. If I knew Prelude, I would have done Prelude. Oh yeah, Prelude would have been okay. I don't know. I think Stormwood Island's better. We build our houses squat. That sense of belonging, that sense of community. If bro said that, then you did the right thing. Let me stop this.